At the very last minute before college application submission, Ruan Huixian secretly changed my choices to Tsinghua and Peking University. With red-rimmed eyes, she pleaded with me. He didn't do well on this exam, how about we accompany him to repeat a year of high school? You know he can't do without me. For 10 years as childhood sweethearts, I had tolerated her willfulness countless times, but this time, she casually rewrote my future just to stay with that little bamboo horse of hers who needed looking after. Looking at her triumphant smile, I didn't nod for the first time. Later, on the day the repeat class started, she called me frantically. Where are you? The opening ceremony is about to start, and I was standing at the gate of Tsinghua University and Peking University, taking a photo and posting it on Moments. The caption read, "A new beginning, never again anyone's backup choice." On the other end of the line, she finally panicked. What do you mean, didn't you promise to repeat the year with me? Oh, I forgot to say, I never promised that. The July afternoon sun cast a blinding sheen of oil on the asphalt road. I walked out of the internet cafe clutching my phone, my palms drenched in sweat. I couldn't tell whether it was from the heat or from the nerves when I'd checked my score just now. The number on the screen was still flashing in my mind, 687. Top 300 in the province. My heart was pounding as if it were about to smash through my ribs. For 10 years, from elementary school to high school, I, Lin Mo, had finally stood up for myself once. My parents ran a small grocery store back in our hometown, and it wasn't easy to put me through school. My teachers always said, Lin Mo is steady, just lacking a bit of drive. This time, I rushed in. The first person I thought of was Ruan Huixian. We lived on the same old street, her family ran a breakfast shop, and my family's grocery store was diagonally across from hers. When she moved here at 6, she wore her hair in 2 little pigtails and stood at the counter of my house, unable to reach the lollipop. I tiptoed to help her get it, and halfway through peeling off the wrapper, it stuck to my palm. She took a lick, her eyes curving into crescent moons. So sweet, Lin Mo. That Lin Mo had been called for 12 years. The phone rang 3 times before she answered, with a chaotic noise in the background. What's wrong? Her voice was a little hoarse. The scores are out. I tried to keep my excitement in check. Have you checked? There was a pause on the other end for a few seconds. Yeah, how much? 620. Her voice dropped even lower. It's not enough for the first tier cutoff. I was instantly choked up. Ruan Huixian's grades were above average. If she'd performed normally, she should have gotten around 640. It's okay, there are still good schools for the second tier. We can. Zixuan bombed it. She cut me off, her voice thick with tears. He didn't even get to 500. I was standing on the curb when a motorcycle roared past, and its exhaust blasted my leg, leaving a scalding sting. Zhou Zixuan, the childhood sweetheart of Ruan Huixian, as she always introduced him, even though the 3 of us had clearly grown up together. But Zhou Zixuan lived in the new district, and his parents worked for the local government. Our old street felt like a completely different world. Where is he? I asked. At my place. Ruan Huixian sniffled. He's been crying all morning, saying he doesn't want to live anymore. Lin Mo, can you come over? I don't know what to do. When I got to the Ruan house, Zhou Zixuan was sitting on that old plastic stool, his head buried in his knees. Ruan Huixian was crouched beside him, patting his back 1 stroke at a time, like she was soothing a child. A report card was spread out on the table, and I made out the number, 487. Ruan Huixian looked up at me, her eyes swollen like peaches. He filled in the multiple choice answers for comprehensive science in the wrong place, and lost 80 points, she said, starting to cry again. What should we do? Lin Mo, he says he wants to repeat the year, but he definitely can't manage on his own. Zhou Zixuan looked up too, his eyes red as well. Huixian, don't worry about me anymore. You and Lin Mo just fill out your college applications properly and go to a big city. But as he said this, he was tightly gripping Ruan Huixian's wrist. My throat felt dry. Repeating the year isn't impossible. Next year, will you stay with me and repeat the year? Zhou Zixuan suddenly looked at me, his eyes carrying a vulnerability I knew well, one that belonged to him. Just 1 year, the 3 of us will still be together, and I'll study hard. Huixian, Lin Mo, I can't make it without you. The air seemed to freeze for a few seconds. Ruan Huixian turned toward me, her hand sliding off Zhou Zixuan's back and clutching the hem of my shirt. Her fingers were icy, pressing against my skin through the thin t-shirt. Lin Mo, she said in a very soft voice, the same way she used to when she made a mistake as a child and asked me to take the blame for her. Let's just stay with him for a year, okay? You know his family puts a lot of pressure on him, and he's not very emotionally resilient. If he's on his own, he'll collapse. I looked at her, there was a fine sheen of sweat on her temple, and a strand of hair was stuck there. Suddenly, I remembered the time In 8th grade, when she fainted during PE class and I carried her to the infirmary, she lay on my back and whispered, "Lynn Mo, you're so nice." That day the sun was just as fierce, and she was clutching my shirt hem just like this. As for filling out the college preferences, I heard myself say, "I need to talk it over with my parents." Wan Huaxian's eyes lit up. "Then say it properly. Just say we want to get into better schools together, and repeating a year will make it more secure." I nodded and left the Ruan family as if fleeing. The sycamore trees on the old street formed a continuous canopy of shade, yet I felt as if the sun were beating directly on the crown of my head. On the way home, I passed an internet cafe. The poster on the glass door reading, "College Application System," had already curled at the edges from the sun. The deadline was marked in red, July 30th, 1800. 3 days left. Those 3 days passed in a daze, when my parents heard I wanted to retake the college entrance exam. Dad slammed the teacup down. "Have you lost your mind? You scored 687 and you want to retake it? Do you know how many kids can't even get into college?" Mom, with red-rimmed eyes, pulled at me. "Xiaoma, is it because that girl from the Ruan family asked you to keep her company? If she flunked the exam, that's her problem. You can't gamble with your own future." I shut myself in my room. My phone wouldn't stop buzzing, and Wan Huixian sent more than a dozen messages. Every day, Zixuan is feeling a little better today. He said if we stay with him, he'll definitely get into a Tier 1 university. I looked into retake prep centers. There's one that's fully closed off, and the three of us could rent a place together. Lynn Mo, say something. Don't you want to hang out with us anymore? The last message was sent late at night. I stared at the screen, my fingers hovering over the keyboard for a long time. And in the end I replied with just one word, yes. What was it that I wanted? I didn't know myself. Maybe I just wanted her to stop talking to me in that disappointed tone. On the last day of college application choices, at 4 in the afternoon, Wan Huixian came. She was carrying 2 cups of milk tea and handed one to me. "Your favorite, with extra pearls." She smiled sweetly, her eyes curving into the familiar crescent moons I knew so well, but there was a faint bluish shadow beneath them. We sat side by side at the desk in my room. The computer screen showing the application form page. I typed in the account and password, leaving the first choice field blank. "Have you decided where you're applying?" She leaned in to take a look, her hair brushing against my arm, carrying the same shampoo scent from when we were kids. "Shanghai Jiaotong University." I opened the school I'd saved. "My scores from previous years are high enough for this major." "Shanghai is great," she said lightly. "It's not far from my hometown, and it's bustling." Then she paused. "It's just that," Zixuan said, "if he repeats the year, he wants to go to that cram school in the provincial capital, which is a bit far from Shanghai." I said nothing. She bit down on the straw, and the milk tea cup made a faint hissing sound. After a long while, she said softly, "Lynn Mo, if you put something really high as your first choice, like Tsinghua or Peking University, wouldn't that be a little safer?" I froze for a moment. "What do you mean?" "Look," she said, pointing at the screen, "if you put Tsinghua, your score definitely won't be enough, so you'd automatically slide to your second choice. But if you make your second choice something a little worse, like, say, that local second-tier university in our province, then even if you don't get into Tsinghua, you'll definitely get into that second-tier university." I turned to look at her, and then, her voice grew softer and softer. "Then you can say you didn't get into your ideal school and naturally take another year to retake the exams. That way, it'll be easier for us to explain to Mom and Dad too. We can just say we want to aim for a better one." It felt as if something had clenched around my heart. Wan Huixian. I rarely called her by her full name. "You want me to deliberately fill out a school I can't get into?" "It's not about deliberately not getting in." She panicked and grabbed my hand. "It's a strategy, and think about it. Zixuan is in that state now. If we all leave, what if something really happens to him? He even told me last night that he feels like living has no meaning." Her hand was shaking. I looked at our clasped hands and remembered how, in elementary school, she had been bullied by some boys. I charged in and got into a fight, scraping a large patch of skin off the back of my hand. She cried as she dabbed iodine on it and said, "Lynn Mo, are you stupid or what?" Back then, I felt that getting hurt for her was worth it. "Let me think about it," I said, pulling my hand back. "There's no time to think." She glanced at the time in the lower right corner of the computer screen. "There are only 40 minutes left before the deadline." I stood up and walked to the window. The old street was beginning to come alive in the evening. My parents had set up a watermelon stall at the entrance of the supermarket downstairs, and the breakfast shop at Wan Huaxian's house was already lit up. Her mother was preparing the dough for tomorrow. This street was so small that it couldn't hold a Dream of Tsinghua or Peking University, Lin Mo, Wan Huixian walked up behind me. Just 1 year, I promise, only 1 year. Next year the three of us will take the exam and go to Shanghai together, and stay together. Okay, I closed my eyes. Are you sure what Zhou Zixuan needs is for us to keep him company while he repeats a year, rather than for him to pull himself together? He's still young. She said as if it were only natural. You know he's emotionally fragile, we have to give him a hand. Who would pull me up? I blurted out. The air froze. Wan Huixian was stunned, as if she had never even thought about that question. After several seconds, she finally said awkwardly, You're different, you've always been strong, able to handle everything on your own, but Zixuan, he can't do without me. Those words were like a bucket of ice water poured over my head, chilling me all the way down my spine to my tailbone. So in her heart, my strength made me the one who deserved to be sacrificed. The computer chimed. There are 30 minutes left until the system shuts down. Wan Huixian glanced at the screen, then at me, and suddenly gritted her teeth. Lin Mo, I'm sorry, she said, and after saying that, she turned around and sat down in front of the computer. Before I could react, she had already taken hold of the mouse. The clicking sound was crisp, and in the quiet room it sounded like a countdown. 1, 2, 3. By the time I rushed over, she had already clicked the submit button. A green prompt box popped up on the screen. Volunteer application submitted successfully. In the first choice field, the 4 words, Tsinghua University, stabbed at my eyes. Second choice, the Provincial Normal College, a second-tier university. All right. Wan Huixian turned around, wearing a relieved, even slightly triumphant smile. Now that we're all staying with him to repeat a year, he definitely won't be upset. I stared at the screen, then at her. My mind went blank, leaving only a strange, numb clarity. It was as if the blade that had been hanging overhead for so long had finally fallen. Where it struck no longer mattered. Do you know roughly what Tsinghua's cutoff score is this year? I asked, my voice so calm that even I was surprised. Her smile stiffened for a moment. Anyway, you wouldn't get in either. Isn't this just perfect? What if I miss the cutoff? What if I don't get into my second choice either? No way. Her tone was very certain. That teacher's college never fills its quota every year, and your score is so high, you'll definitely get in. Then I'd have to repeat the year. I finished the logic for her. Because the safety school you picked for me is one I'd never actually go to, right? She opened her mouth, but no words came out. From downstairs came my mom's voice calling me to dinner. Wan Huixian stood up and straightened her dress. I have to go back. Zixuan is still waiting for my message. She walked to the door, then looked back at me. Lin Mo, don't be mad. By next year, once we've all done well on the exams, you'll understand that I'm doing this for the good of the three of us. The door closed softly. I sat in front of the computer. The screen dimmed, reflecting my own blurred face. Outside the window, the lights of the old street came on one by one, and the glow from Wan Huixian's house was especially warm and yellow. I watched her run out of my house, cross the street, and her figure melt into that warm light. The phone vibrated. Zhou Zixuan sent a voice message, played on speaker. His voice sounded especially clear in the quiet room. Huixian, thank you for everything you've done for me. With you paying me during this year of retaking the exam, I'll definitely work hard. The dependence and satisfaction in his tone were almost overflowing. I listened to that voice message play 3 times in a row, then smiled, the kind of laughter that bursts out loud. It turned out that for these 12 years, I had been waiting for an answer all along, waiting for Wan Huixian to, in one of her choices, place me ahead of that little childhood sweetheart of hers just once, even if only once. Today, I finally got my answer. The answer was no. I picked up my phone and sent Wan Huixian a message back. My fingers were steady on the keyboard, not making a single mistake. Okay, I'll repeat a year with you. Chapter 2. Wan Huixian came over early the next morning. She came in carrying soy milk and fried dough sticks, bringing with her the heat of summer. Her cheeks flushed. Lin Mo, I've discussed it with Zixuan, she said, setting breakfast on the table. We're going to that Qihang repeat year school in the provincial capital. They had an 80% undergraduate pass rate this year. My mom heard the noise in the kitchen, came out, and didn't look too happy. Oh, Huixian is here. Morning, Auntie. Wan Huixian smiled especially sweetly. I'm talking with Lin Mo about repeating a year. Don't worry, the three of us will keep each other in check, and next year we'll definitely all do better on the exam. My mom opened her mouth, glanced at me, and in the end just sighed and turned back into the kitchen. The sound of the door closing was a little heavy. Wan Huixian acted as if she hadn't heard me, pulling me down to sit beside her. I looked into it. Qihang starts classes in mid-August. Tuition is 28,000 a year, with accommodation included, but we won't stay in the dorms. They're too noisy. Zixuan is a light sleeper. I looked at apartments near the school. 3 bedrooms, 1 living room. Rent is 2,400 a month. the three of us can split it evenly. She spoke quickly, scrolling through photos on her phone to show me. This master bedroom has a balcony, so it's for Zishuan. He needs sun exposure to regulate his mood. I'll take the second bedroom, and the smallest room is for you. You don't mind, do you? You don't have much stuff anyway. I looked at the tiny room on the screen, less than 8 square meters, its window facing the concrete wall of the building next door. The sun would probably only squeeze in for a little while around noon. Too expensive, I said. I've checked rental prices near the cram school. This place is at least 400 too high. Wan Huixian froze for a moment, then smiled. Come on, don't fuss over these details. The agent said this place is in high demand, so we need to make the decision quickly. She leaned in and lowered her voice. Zishuan's parents heard that we're all staying with him to repeat the year, and they were especially moved. They said they can cover half the rent, we'll split the rest between our two families, so it really won't cost much. I nodded and picked up a youtiao. It had been fried a little too long, and it crunched when I bit into it. And there's the study plan. The more Wan Huixian talked, the more excited she became. Zishuan is weak in science, especially physics. Lin Mo, you're so good at science. Could you spare an hour every night to tutor him? I'll handle English and Chinese. He's weak in those subjects too. I need to do problems myself every night, I said. Then do a little less, she said naturally, taking up the conversation. We're a team now, so we should help each other. Besides, if you explain problems to him, you can reinforce your own understanding too. Right, the soy milk was a little hot, so I drank it slowly. On the old street outside the window, more and more people getting up early to buy groceries. Grandpa Wang rode past on a tricycle, the truck bed piled with fresh green vegetables, the dew glinting in the morning light. By the way, Wan Huixian suddenly remembered something. Did you print out your volunteer confirmation form? It needs to be signed and filed. I did. Let me see. She held out her hand. I pulled that sheet of paper out of my backpack, a thin slip, with the 4 characters, Tsinghua University, bolded and blackened at the top of the form. Wan Huixian took it, stared at it for several seconds, and the corners of her mouth curved up slightly. Really nice, she said softly, as if admiring a work of art. That way, the 3 of us can stay together forever. She carefully folded the confirmation slip and handed it back to me. Keep it safe, even if we won't need it, it'll make a good memento. I didn't take it, you keep it, huh? Anyway, you changed my college choices. I looked into her eyes, so it means more if you keep it. The air went still for a few seconds. The smile on Wan Huixian's face slowly faded. She withdrew her hand and stuffed the paper into her bag. Lin Mo, don't be like that. I know you're upset, but we need to think long term. When we both do well on next year's exam, you'll thank me. Maybe, I said. She seemed to have received some kind of reassurance, and her expression brightened again. Then it settled. I'll go pay the deposit for the repeat year class this afternoon. Should I cover your share first? No need, I'll pay it myself. All right, then hurry up. There aren't many spots left. After she left, I sat at the dining table for a long time. The youtiao had gone completely cold, and the oil had congealed into white clumps at the bottom of the plate. My mom came out of the kitchen, silently cleared away the bowls and chopsticks, and the faucet was turned on with a rushing sound. Mom, I said, I'm going out for a bit. Where to? To the bank to withdraw some money. My mom stopped wiping her hands for a moment. Are you really going to pay that repeat year tuition fee? She turned around, her eyes red. Xiao Mo, Mom knows you're soft-hearted, but this matter is just too big. Your dad didn't sleep a wink all night last night, and his blood pressure was high this morning. I stood up and walked over to her. My mom was short, and over the years she seemed to have gotten even shorter. When she looked up at me, she had to tilt her neck back. I reached out and hugged her. She smelled of cooking grease and dish soap mixed together, a smell that was home. Mom, I know what I'm doing, I said. She stiffened in my arms for a moment, then gently patted my back. You've grown up now, and Mom can't control you anymore. But don't wrong yourself, hear me. I heard you. When I went out, the sunlight was just right, the old street was fully awake, the breakfast shop at Wan Huixian's home had a line, and her mother was busy over the frying pan, sweat all over her forehead. Seeing me, she waved with a smile. Xiao Mo, come get 2 buns. I waved it off and kept walking forward. 2 streets over is the post office, a green gate, and on the glass are posted price lists for remittances and express delivery. I pushed the door open and a blast of air-conditioned cold hit me, making the fine hairs on my arms stand on end. The lady at the counter knew me. Lin Mo, here to mail a copy of your admission letter. Quite a few kids came to mail theirs a few days ago. No, I said. I'm mailing a document. I took out the manila envelope from my backpack. It was thick, with the seal carefully taped shut. In the recipient address field, it said, Admissions Office, Tsinghua University, Hadian District. Beijing. Next to the address, 2 words were marked in red pen, urgent. Auntie took the envelope, weighed it, and stuck on a label. Oh, sending it to Tsinghua, congratulations, congratulations. I said nothing and paid by scanning the code. The shipping fee was 62 yuan, enough for half a month of breakfasts, as I came out of the post office. My phone rang. It was my homeroom teacher, old Zhao. Lin Mo, are you at home? Old Zhao's voice sounded a little urgent. I'm out on the street. Go ahead, teacher Zhao. Tsinghua has been pressuring us again about your strong foundation program confirmation letter. The supplementary materials have to be mailed over before the end of July. Have you made up your mind? Are you really giving it up? I walked into the shade of a tree. The old locust tree beside the post office cast a cool patch of shade. Teacher Zhao, if my current preference has already been changed, is there still any way to fix it? The other end of the line was quiet for a few seconds. Your volunteer preference was changed. Old Zhao's tone turned serious. Who changed it? When did this happen? Yesterday, at the last minute. Nonsense. Old Zhao's voice rose at once. Why didn't you say so sooner? Once the system closes, it can't be changed. That's the rule, but if someone altered it without your consent, you can file an appeal. No need to appeal, I interrupted him. Teacher Zhao, can I still submit the materials for the Strong Foundation program? You can, but only if you have a record of having applied to Tsinghua. Wait, didn't you say your application choices were changed? Changed to where? Tsinghua. There was silence on the phone again. This time, it lasted so long that I thought the signal had dropped. Lin Mo. Lao Zhao said again, his voice low, tell your teacher the truth. What happened? I briefly explained what had happened. I didn't mention Wan Huixian's name, only said that someone thought I should accompany a friend in retaking the entrance exam, so they helped fill in Tsinghua University. After listening, Lao Zhao let out a long sigh. You child, you should have told me earlier. It wasn't easy for that Strong Foundation program to pass the preliminary review, and there were only 3 spots in the whole school. When you told me you wanted to give it up back then, I really felt sorry for you. Is it still too late to make up for it now? I'll ask around, Lao Zhao said. Get the materials you need ready, especially that school recommendation form. The one that needs the recommender's signature, remember, got it. The one that needed Wan Huixian's signature, since we were long-term teammates competing together, according to the rules. A teammate could serve as one of the recommenders. Let me know by the day after tomorrow at the latest, Lao Zhao said. Don't get your hopes up too high either, it's really too tight on time. After hanging up, I stood under the shade of the tree for a while. The pagoda tree had bloomed late, only now were tiny, rice grain-sized flower buds starting to appear, and the air carried a faint fragrance with a slight bitter note. My phone vibrated again. Wan Huixian sent a message in the 3-person group chat, tagging me and Zhou Zixuan. The place is set. Signing the contract this afternoon. At Zixuan, don't forget to ask your parents for the money. I'm paying 1 month's rent plus a 3-month deposit, and I need to come up with 9,600 all at once. At Lin Mo, when will you send me your share? Zhou Zixuan replied instantly. All set. My dad said he'll transfer the money to you tonight. Thanks, Huixian, you've worked hard. Heart, I typed. I'll give it to you tomorrow. Wan Huixian sent a celebratory emoji. Great. Then we're officially a team now. Keep up the review. Let's get into our desired schools together next year. I looked at the group name. She had changed it to 3 Musketeers Retake Sprint Camp. It was pretty ironic. I was never any kind of swordsman. I was just a spare shield. On the way home, I passed an internet cafe and turned in. It was the same one I'd gone to last time to check my scores. The owner was gaming and, without even looking up, said, ID card. I got a machine and sat in the farthest corner. I powered it on, opened the browser, and searched for Tsinghua University Strong Foundation Program admission results release date. Results will be announced in early August. If everything goes smoothly, I'll know my fate in early August. And now, there are still 5 days left until August. The time in the lower right corner of the screen kept ticking. I opened the view page of the volunteer application system. Now I could only look, not change anything. The line for Tsinghua was still there. Like a brand, I closed the web page and opened my email. In the drafts folder was an unsent message, addressed to a teacher in Tsinghua's admissions office, asking about submitting additional materials for the Strong Foundation plan. It was written very politely and formally, with every word carefully chosen. The mouse hovered over the send button for a while. In the end, I didn't click it. Log out of the email, clear the browsing history, and shut down the computer. As I walked out of the internet cafe, the Laoban had just finished a game and looked up at me. Kid, how did the exam go? Not bad, I said, seeing how happy you were when you came to check your scores a few days ago. It must have gone well. The Laoban lit a cigarette. Where are you going to college? Maybe, repeat a year. The boss froze for a moment, and his cigarette almost fell onto his pants. Repeating a year. Have you lost your mind? What score did you get that you want to retake it? Nothing. I pulled the door open, and the heat surged in. I just feel like I can do even better. On the way home, the sun had begun to tilt westward. My shadow was stretched out very long, and I walked along it, step by step, unhurried. My phone kept buzzing in my pants pocket. I didn't need to look to know the group chat was lively again. Juan Huisien was sharing the class schedule from the Retake Prep Institute, and Zhou Zixuan was asking whether we should buy the tutoring books together. They were chatting enthusiastically, as if planning a grand adventure, and I was wondering where that express package was now. It should already be loaded. Onto a truck, leaving this small county town, getting on the highway, heading north, 1,200 kilometers, 30 hours on the road. It would pass through mountains and rivers I had never seen, and arrive at that campus I had only ever seen in photos, or it might be left behind at some transfer station, and, like the volunteer choices that had been rewritten for me, disappear without a sound. All are possible. When I reached my front door, I stopped in my tracks. The setting sun had dyed the entire old street orange red, and Juan Huixian's family breakfast shop had already closed for the day. With the rolling shutter pulled halfway down, her mother was sweeping at the entrance. When she saw me, she smiled and waved. I waved back too. Then I turned and pushed open the door to our family supermarket. The wind chime rang softly, and my dad was stocking shelves behind the counter. Hearing the sound, he looked up at me. "Got it?" he asked. "Got it." I took the bank receipt out of my pocket and placed it on the counter. My dad picked it up to look at it, his reading glasses sliding down to the bridge of his nose. He stared at the slip for a long time, so long that the wind chime rang again. A customer had come in to buy cigarettes. After he finished selling the cigarettes and turned back to see me still standing there, he said, 28,000, your mom and I had saved it up for your college tuition. I know. Take it and repeat the year now." He took off his glasses and rubbed his eyes. "Xiaoma, Dad won't stop you, but you have to remember, this is your own choice. Don't regret it later." "I won't regret it," I said. Actually, it was too early to say that. Whether I'd regret it or not, I wouldn't know until August, but at least right now, I had to make everyone believe, including Juan Huisien, including Zhou Zixuan, including my parents, that I had truly accepted my fate. I was really ready to stay with them and spend another year wasting time. I went upstairs to my room and closed the door. From the bottom drawer, I pulled out a folder. Inside was a thick stack of materials, competition certificates, transcripts, and a personal statement. On top was the school recommendation form, and the recommender's signature line was still blank. I picked up a pen and wrote my name in the applicant's signature field, Lin Mo, 2 characters, written with such force that the ink almost seeped through to the back of the paper. Then I put the form back and slid the folder into its original place. I opened the computer, searched for study plan for repeat students, and began reading carefully. It was completely dark outside. The streetlights along the old street came on one by one, and in the dim yellow glow, moths kept tirelessly crashing into the lampshades. I heard Juan Huixian's voice coming from downstairs. She had come to see me, probably to sign the rental contract. I closed the laptop and got up to go downstairs. The act still had to go on, at least until August. Chapter 3, the rental contract was spread out on the supermarket counter, its pages rustling in the electric fan. Juan Huisien handed me a pen. Her fingertips were coated with a faint layer of pink nail polish. "Freshly done. Sign here, and here." She pointed to the lessee's signature line. 1 month's deposit and 3 months' rent. We'll split it 3 ways, so each of us pays 3,200 up front. I took the pen, but didn't sign right away. The contract terms were densely packed, the print so tiny it looked like ants. Article 8 stated, during the lease term, Party B shall not alter the structure of the house without authorization. "I've seen photos of this place," I said. "Is the wall between the second bedroom and the smallest room a non-load-bearing wall?" Juan Huisien froze for a moment. "I guess so. What's wrong? If we can knock through the wall, the smallest room would be a bit more spacious." I lowered my head and started signing. "Anyway, I'll be living here for a year." "How can that be?" Juan Huixian's voice rose. "Knocking through a wall is such a hassle, and we'd have to discuss it with the landlord." "I was just saying." I pushed the signed contract over. "I'll transfer the money to you on WeChat." Juan Huisien let out a sigh of relief and smiled. "I knew you were reliable." She carefully put the contract away, then took a small notebook out of her bag. "By the way, this is the duty roster I made for the retake year. I'll be in charge of cooking. Zixuan will wash the dishes, and you'll handle cleaning and taking out the trash." "Fair enough, fair enough." That phrase, coming from her mouth, sounded a little harsh. "Okay," I said. She closed the notebook and looked around my family's grocery store. The shelves were neatly lined with cooking oil, salt, soy sauce, and vinegar, and the freezer beside the checkout counter hummed softly. Lin Mo, actually, repeating a year isn't that scary. The 3 of us will be together, keeping each other in Check, who knows, it might even be easier than senior year, Zixuan also said that he feels at ease when you're around. She paused, her voice softening. He really does rely on you a lot. Do you remember that time in sophomore year, he broke a bone from falling while playing basketball, and you carried him to the hospital all the way without ever switching hands? I remember, that day. Ruan Huixian was crying her eyes out and running behind us. Zhou Zixuan was lying on my back, blood dripping onto my school uniform. He said, Lin Mo, thank you. Later, Ruan Huixian washed that school uniform for me. She washed it so cleanly that not a trace of blood could be seen. It's all in the past, I said. Ruan Huixian looked at me, her expression somewhat complicated. Recently, are you angry with me? The electric fan turned one way, then the other. The leaves of the pot hose on the counter swayed along with it. No, I said, it was my own fault for not watching the computer properly. It's not on you. As soon as I said it, even I thought it sounded fake, but Ruan Huixian believed me, and that relieved look returned to her face. That's good, actually, I've been thinking about it too. If you really don't want to repeat a year, I wouldn't force you, but Zixuan, he needs you. I finished for her. You're needed too, she said seriously. The three of us are one unit, like conjoined twins, or like the beaded bracelets she loved to play with as a child, miss one bead. And the whole thing falls apart. Her phone rang. It was Zhou Zixuan. Huixian, have you signed the contract? My mom asked if we want to have dinner together and celebrate the founding of our retake studies group. Ruan Huixian covered the phone and mouthed to me, go. I shook my head. Zixuan, something came up at Lin Mo's house, so the two of us should go, she said into the phone, her voice turning cheerful again. Sure, the hot pot place from last time. I like it. After hanging up, she winked at me. See you tomorrow then. Let's go buy the review books we'll need for retaking the exam together. I'm going to school tomorrow, looking for old Zhao, handling some paperwork. She didn't ask any more questions, picked up her bag, and left. The wind chimes jingled for a while before gradually falling silent. Leaning against the counter, I watched her back disappear around the corner of the old street. The setting sun stretched her shadow long, a thin, slender line that swayed gently across the ground. My dad came out from the inner room, calculator in hand, the display still flashing numbers. Signed. I signed it. He was silent for a moment, then set the calculator on the counter. Your mom's crying upstairs. I know, you knew that and you still signed it. His voice was a little shaky. Xiaoma, Dad isn't against you helping a friend, but this matter is wrong. She changed your college application choices, and you can still smile and sign a contract with her. What on earth are you thinking? I looked at my dad. He was not yet 50, but most of his hair had already turned white, and the wrinkles at the corners of his eyes were as deep as knife cuts. This supermarket had been open for 20 years, it had raised me and worn him old. Dad, I said, if I told you I might not need to repeat the year, would you believe me? He froze. But it's only a possibility, I went on, so for now, we still need to sign what needs signing and pay what needs paying. If that possibility doesn't come true, I'll still have to repeat the year. By then, the rent will already be paid, so I might as well go. My dad stared at me, as if seeing his own son for the first time. You're hiding something from us. Related to the girl from the Ruan family. Related, and yet not related. I smiled. Mostly, it has to do with me. He didn't ask any further, only patted my shoulder. His palm was thick, calloused from years of moving goods, and it landed on my shoulder with a heavy weight. You've grown up now, make your own decision, but remember, whatever the outcome, this family will always be here. My nose stung a little, and I quickly lowered my head to straighten the goods on the counter. I know, I didn't sleep well that night. The air conditioner kept being turned on and off, but it was still hot in the end. I got up and opened the window. The old street was so quiet at night that I could hear the trucks on the national highway in the distance. The phone screen lit up in the dark for a moment. Ruan Huixian had posted on Moments, a 9-grid photo set. The hot pot's red chili oil was boiling furiously, and she and Zhou Zixuan leaned their heads together, making peace signs at the camera. The caption read, "The best time is striving together with the people who matter most." Zhou Zixuan commented, "It's so good to have you, heart." I swiped past and opened the WeChat message Lao Zhao had sent in the afternoon. It was only one sentence. The materials have been received and are under review, wait for news, and so on. This character was like a seed, buried in the soil, and I didn't know whether it would sprout. The next day I went to school. The campus during summer vacation was empty. A few middle school students were playing basketball on the court, and the ball thudded against the ground with a bang-bang sound that echoed far away. Lao Zhao was organizing files in the office. When he saw me, he waved me over. Come here. I walked over. Several files were spread across his desk, and right on top was the express package I had sent. The envelope had been opened, and the materials were all taken out. Qinghua called, Lao Zhao said, pushing up his glasses. They said your situation is special, but your materials are complete, and the initial review has already passed. Now it all comes down to the final review. My heart skipped a beat. When will the results be out? In the next few days. He looked at me. Lin Mo, tell me the truth. Was the person who changed your application choices Ruan Huisien? I said nothing. Old Zhao sighed. I figured as much. That kid isn't bad-hearted, she's just too self-centered. He stood up and walked to the window. You know she came to see me yesterday. I don't know. She asked about the enrollment status for repeating students, and casually mentioned that the three of you were going to repeat together, asking me to look out for you more. Old Zhao turned around. She said it so naturally, as if it were only to be expected, so I asked her, what about Lin Mo's own wishes? She said you had already discussed it. I tugged at the corners of my mouth. Discussed, teacher, I said. If Tsinghua admits me, can the tuition for the repeat class be refunded? Normally, no, Lao Zhao said as he walked back and pulled an envelope out of a drawer, but your situation is special. This is a scholarship from our school. It was supposed to be handed out at the graduation ceremony, but you weren't there then. The envelope wasn't thick, but it had some weight to it. I opened it and found a stack of money inside, along with a card that said, Outstanding Graduate. 2,000 yuan isn't much, Lao Zhao said, but it's enough to cover the penalty for withdrawing your tuition. If you really get admitted, don't fret over that little bit of money, refund it if you should. I clenched the envelope in my hand, the edge of the paper pressing into my palm. Thank you, teacher. Don't thank me. He waved a hand. You, kid, keep everything bottled up inside. If this really works out this time, it'll count as a lesson for you too. Some ties should be cut when they need to be cut. When I came out of the school, the sun was blazing. I stood under the old locust tree by the school gate and sent Ruan Huisien a message. I'll buy the study guides myself. You guys go on ahead and look around. She replied instantly. Okay, then buy them yourself. Don't forget to get the compiled sets of past exam questions for physics and chemistry. Zixuan needs them. I didn't reply again. Walking slowly along the street, I passed Xinhua bookstore and went in for a look around. The supplementary study materials section was packed with people, parents, and children together, selecting books one by one. The air carried the smell of fresh ink from new books, along with the smell of sweat. I pulled out a physics practice exam book and flipped through it. The questions were all familiar. I had done them countless times in my final year of high school. On the last page, the answer key was printed densely, like some kind of code. My phone vibrated again. This time it was Zhou Zixuan, calling directly. Lin Mo, where are you? The background was noisy, like he was in a mall, bookstore. Oh, Huisien and I are browsing a stationery store. She said she wanted to buy you a nice notebook for taking notes. Zhou Zixuan paused. Lin Mo, thank you. What for? Thank you for being willing to repeat a year with me. He said it very sincerely. I know this isn't fair to you, but I really need you, especially Huisien. She's under a lot of pressure too, so please bear with her. I looked at the rows of book spines on the bookshelf, neatly aligned like soldiers in formation. Zixuan, what if you still don't do well on the exam next year? There was silence on the other end of the phone. After several seconds, Zhou Zixuan finally said, no. With you here, I'll definitely get in. I mean, then repeat the year once more, he said softly. Anyway, you'll stay with me, right? I said nothing. Lin Mo, he called out, I'm listening. You won't back out halfway through, right? He asked cautiously. Huisien said you might be a little emotional, but I don't think that's the kind of person you are. We've been friends for so many years. You wouldn't just leave me hanging, right? Friends, he used that word far too casually. No, I said. He visibly relaxed. That's good, then I'll see you tomorrow. We can go check out the environment at the retake class together. After hanging up the phone, I put the practice exam book back on the shelf. My fingertip brushed across the spine, leaving a faint mark that quickly disappeared. August 3rd, 1 week before the cram school classes began, Ruan Huisien took Zhou Zixuan and me to see the rented apartment. The neighborhood was very old, and the stairwell was plastered with flyers and little ads. On the 3rd floor, as soon as the door opened, a musty smell rushed out. It'll be fine after a few days of airing out. Ruan Huisien pushed open the window, and Dusk danced in the sunlight. 3 rooms. She introduced them one by one. This master bedroom is for Zixuan. It faces south and gets plenty of sunlight. I'll stay in the second bedroom. It's close to the bathroom. Lin Mo, you can stay in the smaller one. It's quiet and good for studying. That little room really was tiny. Once you put in a single bed and a desk, there was no room left. The window faced the wall of the building next door, so close you could even see people's underwear hanging out to dry. Pretty good, I said. Ruan Huisien smiled. Knew you weren't picky. She started planning. The desk goes here, the lamp goes here, and we can pile reference books in the corner. once we bring our own things over in a few days, it'll feel like a home. Home, she always loved using that word. Zhou Zishuan wandered around the master bedroom, looking very pleased. Huixian, you even picked out the curtains for me, light blue, it helps with sleep. Wan Huixian's voice softened. Don't you always say you don't sleep well? I watched the two of them standing at the master bedroom doorway, talking as sunlight slanted in, wrapping them in a halo of light, such a harmonious scene, like the male and female leads in a TV drama, and I stood in the shadows, like a passerby who had wandered onto the set by mistake. The phone vibrated in my pants pocket, I pulled it out to look, and it was an unknown number from Beijing. My heart suddenly started racing. I turned and walked into that small room, closing the door behind me. The musty smell was even stronger now, mixed with the dusty scent of peeling wall plaster. I answered the phone. Hello, may I ask if this is Lin Mo? It was a woman's voice, very gentle. Yes, it is. This is the admissions office of Tsinghua University. Congratulations. Your strong foundation program application has passed the final review. Your admission letter has been mailed out today, so please keep an eye out for it. I leaned against the door panel and slowly slid down to the floor. The cement floor was very cold, seeping through my pants. Hello, student Lin Mo, are you there? Yes, I heard my own voice, calm in a strangely detached way. Thank you, teacher, you're welcome. Welcome to the Tsinghua family. I look forward to seeing you in September. The call ended. After the busy signal sounded 7 or 8 times, I finally pressed the screen off. The room was very dark, with only a sliver of light seeping in beneath the crack at the bottom of the door. Dust drifted slowly in that beam, like snowflakes in slow motion. I sat there, not knowing how long I had been sitting, not until Wan Huixian's knocking came from outside. Lin Mo, what are you doing? Come out and take a look at the kitchen. We need to discuss what cookware to buy. I stood up and opened the door. Light poured in, stinging my eyes. Wan Huixian stood at the doorway, holding a small notebook and jotting down a shopping list. Zhou Zishuan leaned over beside her to look, the two of them shoulder to shoulder. What's wrong? Wan Huixian asked when she saw my expression. Feeling unwell? No, I said. I just took a phone call. Who is it? Delivery. I paused. They said I have a package that's arrived and need to go pick it up. Oh, then go get it after we finish eating, she said casually, continuing to flip through her notebook. Let's just have something simple here for lunch. I brought bread and milk. The three of us sat in the empty living room, using a cardboard box as a table. The bread was dry, and the milk was cold. Zhou Zishuan took a bite of his bread and suddenly said, Lin Mo, where's your volunteer confirmation form? Don't we need to make a few copies and submit them to the repeat year class for the record? Wan Huixian cut in. I've got it here. I'll go make copies tomorrow. Can I take a look? Zhou Zishuan reached out. Wan Huixian took the neatly folded sheet of paper from her bag and handed it over. Zhou Zishuan unfolded it and stared at it for a long while. Tsinghua, he murmured to himself. Amazing, Lin Mo, if your application choices hadn't been changed, you'd be getting ready to go to Beijing now, right? I said nothing. Wan Huixian nudged him. Why bring that up? I was just feeling a little emotional. Zhou Zishuan handed the paper back. Lin Mo, I'm sorry you had to go through that. Once I do well on next year's exam, I'll definitely thank you properly. No need to thank me, I said. It should be thanked, he said very seriously. Really, I'll remember this kindness for the rest of my life. I looked at his sincere eyes and suddenly wanted to laugh. For the rest of his life, he said it so lightly. After dinner, Wan Huixian and Zhou Zishuan said they were going to look at appliances and asked me to go pick up the package first. I went downstairs, left the residential complex, and stood by the roadside for a while. Then I turned into the post office on the street corner. The woman at the counter saw me and smiled. Here to send something again. Picking up a package, I said. From Beijing. She flipped through the logbook. Oh, that urgent document. Right, it arrived this morning. I was just about to call you. She took a thick red document envelope from the shelf behind her and handed it to me. My hands trembled a little as I took it. Congratulations, the auntie said. It must be the admission letter from Tsinghua, right? You're the only one in our area. This year, I didn't open it. I just felt the thickness of the envelope. It was hard, and there was something inside. After leaving the post office, I sat on a bench by the roadside. The plane tree leaves were thick and dense overhead, letting specks of light slip through and dance on the envelope. I took a deep breath and tore open the seal. The first thing to slide out was a greeting card, with a photo of Tsinghua University's second gate on it. Then came the admission notice, with a light purple background and a gold school emblem. My name was printed on it, and the major was Fundamental Sciences in Mathematics and Physics. black characters on white paper. No, that's wrong, it was gold characters on purple paper. I stared at it for a long time until my eyes grew sore. The phone started vibrating, and Ruan Huixian's WeChat messages came one after another. We've picked out the refrigerator, a side-by-side one, on sale. We also need to buy a washing machine. Zixuan said he can cover most of it. Did you pick up your package? What kind of document is so important? I slowly typed back, got it. What is it? I held up my phone and took a photo of the admission letter. The sunlight was just right, and the gold lettering reflected the light, dazzlingly bright. Tapped to send, then I set my phone to silent and put it in my pocket. I leaned back against the bench and closed my eyes. The shadows of the trees swayed over my eyelids, flickering in and out of light. From afar came the sound of traffic, the calls of street vendors, and the laughter of children, blending together. Those sounds grew farther and farther away, until only my heartbeat remained. Thump, 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 steady as a clock. Chapter 4. The phone vibrated 37 times in my pants pocket. I counted them. I got up from the bench, walked to the bus stop, waited for the bus, got on, dropped in my fare, and sat down by the window in the back. The vibration never stopped, as if something were struggling. In my pocket, the street scene outside the window drifted backward frame by frame. The red brick houses of the old town, the glass towers of the new district, the foam boxes piled at the entrance of the market, middle school students riding bicycles in school uniforms. This small city I had lived in for 18 years suddenly felt unfamiliar, as if I were looking at someone else's hometown. When the train shook for the 38th time, I took out my phone. The screen was crowded with mist calls and WeChat messages, Ruan Huixian's, Zhou Zixuan's, and several from mutual friends. The latest was a voice message from Ruan Huixian. I opened it, and the speaker's audio was hard to make out in the noisy carriage, but I could tell she was crying. Lin Mo, answer your phone. What does that photo mean? My voice was shaking badly. I switched my phone to silent and stuffed it back into my pocket. The bus rattled along as sunlight filtered through the window, slicing my body into alternating patches of light and shadow. The red document envelope in my hand felt both light and heavy. I got off at my stop and walked back to the old street. Around 3 or 4 in the afternoon was the quietest time of day. The breakfast stalls had already closed, and the supermarket had hardly any customers. My mom was dozing behind the counter, her head bobbing slightly. The wind chime rang, and she startled awake, seeing it was me. She rubbed her eyes. You're back, have you eaten? It's eaten. I went upstairs to my room and closed the door. The notice was on the desk. The pale purple paper seemed to glow of its own accord in the dim room. I sat on the edge of the bed and stared at it for a long time. I heard hurried footsteps from downstairs, heavy, fast, thudding on the wooden stairs, shaking the whole building. Someone banged on the door. Lin Mo, open the door. It was Ruan Huixian's voice, tinged with tears. I know you're in there, open the door. I didn't move. Lin Mo, come out. Explain yourself. She started kicking the door, and the old wooden door let out a groan under the strain. I stood up and opened the door. Ruan Huixian stood outside the door, her hair in disarray and her eyes swollen like walnuts. She was gasping for breath, her chest heaving violently, still clutching her phone. When she saw me, she grabbed my arm at once, her nails digging into my flesh. That photo, is it fake? Her voice was shrill and piercing. Did you edit it? Lin Mo, you can't joke about something like this. I pried her hand off. It's real, impossible, she nearly shrieked. How could you possibly have been admitted to Tsinghua? Your choices were I clearly changed it to Tsinghua for you. That score was simply impossible. The strong foundation program, I said. I passed the preliminary review in March. Don't you remember? Lao Zhao even read out the list in class at the time. Ruan Huixian's expression froze. She stood there with her mouth open, eyes wide, as if hearing about it for the first time. After a few seconds, she shook her head. No, you never said anything. If you'd passed the preliminary review, how could you not have told me? I did tell you. I walked back into the room, dug the folder out from the bottom drawer, pulled out the school recommendation form, and pointed to the recommender signature line. It needed your signature. I showed it to you. You said you were busy lately and would talk about it after the exam. She took the form, her fingers trembling. In the blank space, my handwriting was still there. Please have classmate Ruan Huixian sign and confirm. I don't remember, she muttered to herself. Of course you don't remember. I took the form back. That day, Zhou Zixuan did even worse on the mock exam, and you rushed off to comfort him. I put the form on your desk, and later you said you couldn't find it. It probably got thrown away as scrap paper. Ruan Huixian stepped back, her back hitting the doorframe. She looked at the form, then at the admission letter on the desk, her face going whiter and whiter, as pale as paper. So you knew all along. Her voice was very soft. You knew you could get into Tsinghua, and you still watched me revise your major choices, watched me rent the apartment, watched me pack your retake plan full. why?" She looked up, her eyes bloodshot. "Lin Mo, why did you do this? You watched me run around like an idiot, and why didn't you say so sooner? If you had told me earlier, I wouldn't have." "Wouldn't have what?" I interrupted her. "Wouldn't have changed my college preferences, or wouldn't have let me accompany Zhou Zishuan to repeat the year." She fell silent. My mom's voice came from downstairs. "Xiao Mo, what's wrong? Is Huixian crying?" "It's nothing, Mom," I called down the stairs. "We're just talking." Wan Huixian wiped her face, smearing tears across her hand. "You did that on purpose, didn't you? You deliberately embarrassed me. You hate me, so you're taking revenge on me. Like this." I laughed. I really laughed. Loudly. "Wan Huixian," I said, "if I really wanted to get back at you, I'd have plenty of ways. I could have exposed you for changing your college choices on the spot. I could have told the teacher. I could have had my parents go talk to your parents. But I didn't." "Then why did you?" "Because I wanted to see." I looked into her eyes, whether at the very last moment, even for just an instant, you had thought about how I would feel. She stared at me in a daze. "I gave you time. From the day you changed your college choices until now, half a month. If you had just asked once, 'Lin Mo, do you really want to repeat a year?' or 'Lin Mo, do you have any other options?' I would have told you." I picked up the acceptance letter, then put it back down. "But you never asked. You were busy planning the three of us life of repeating a year, busy comforting Zhou Zishuan, busy being that great, self-sacrificing savior." "I'm not." "You are," I said. "You enjoy the feeling of being needed. Zhou Zishuan needs you, and you need that feeling, and I'm the most convenient tool, always on call, never complaining." Wan Huixian's lips were trembling. She wanted to say something, but no sound came out. The stairs creaked again, this time with the sound of two sets of footsteps. Zhou Zishuan rushed into the room, followed by my mom. Zhou Zishuan's face was livid as he grabbed Wan Huixian's arm. "Huixian, why did you come here? I called you so many times." He saw the admission letter on the desk, and the rest of his words died in his throat. The air went dead silent. Zhou Zishuan let go of Wan Huixian and slowly walked over to the desk, lowering his head to look at the light purple sheet of paper. He stared at it for a long time, so long that I almost thought he had turned into a statue. So, he turned to look at me, his eyes filled with an emotion I had never seen before, like anger, yet also like fear. "You've been messing with us all along." "Messing with you," I repeated. "Zhou Zishuan, who changed my college preferences, who decided my whole year without my consent, but you agreed." His voice rose. "You signed the rental contract, you paid the money, you said you'd stay with us and retake the exam." "That's because I didn't know whether I could get into Tsinghua," I said. "If I didn't get in, I really would have had to retake it. So I had to make preparations for both possibilities." "You're lying." Zhou Zishuan clenched his fists. "If you really wanted to retake the exam, why would you secretly apply for that strong foundation program? You were just keeping a backup plan. You never treated us like friends." "Friends, that word again." "Zhou Zishuan," I said, "if you really treated me like a friend, would you still ask me to retake the year with you when you knew full well I scored 687? His face turned pale. "Can you do it?" I asked again. He said nothing. My mom stood at the doorway, one hand on the doorframe, looking at the three of us. Her eyes were red, but she wasn't crying. She just sighed. "Huixian, Zishuan, you should head back first. This matter, let Mo calm down for a while." Wan Huixian didn't move. She stared at me, and tears started falling again, but this time without a sound, just flowing silently. "Lin Mo," her voice was so hoarse it was almost inaudible. "In these 12 years, did you never have even a trace of sincerity?" The room was very quiet. Outside the window came the calls of the junk collector, fading in and out, approaching and then receding again. "Yes," I said, "that's why I allowed you to change my college choices, as a way to bring closure to 12 years of sincerity." Her body swayed, and Zhou Zishuan supported her. "But now," I continued, "it's over." Wan Huixian pushed Zhou Zishuan's hand away and turned to go downstairs. Her footsteps were very slow and heavy, one step at a time, as if she had used up all her strength. Zhou Zishuan glanced at me, his expression impossibly complicated, and in the end he followed her down as well. My mom walked in and closed the door. She went to the desk, picked up the admission letter, and lightly traced the gold lettering with her fingers. "Tsinghua," she murmured, tears finally falling and dripping onto the paper, spreading into a small dark stain. "My son is going to Beijing." I held her in my arms. She was short, her head just reaching my chin. She was trembling, the way she used to stay by my side all night when I had a fever as a child. "Mom, I'm sorry," I said. "I made you and Dad worry." "Silly child," she patted my back. "Your dad and I just want you to be happy." That night, everyone on Old Street knew that Lin Mo had been admitted to Tsinghua. Uncle Wang brought over a basket of free-range eggs, Aunt Li carried over 2 old hens, and even the tenant across the hall, who hardly ever came by, bought some fruit to come congratulate us. My dad set off a string of firecrackers at the entrance of the Supermarket, crackling for a full 3 minutes, with red paper scraps covering the ground. Ruan Huixian's breakfast shop wasn't open, the roll-up door stayed shut, and the lights weren't on either. I sat behind the counter helping my dad watch the shop, and my phone screen lit up from time to time. The WeChat group had exploded. All my high school classmates were at ING me, asking whether it was true. I replied to a few messages, saying I'd just been lucky. Old Zhao called too, his voice brimming with excitement. Good kid, you really pulled it off. The school's going to hang up a banner for you and give you a bonus. I said there was no need. Why wouldn't it be needed? This is our school's honor, Lao Zhao said. Just wait, tomorrow I'll have someone go to your house. After hanging up, I checked my Pengyoquan. Ruan Huixian had posted something 10 minutes ago, with no text, just a black image. A mutual friend commented below. What's wrong, Huixian? She didn't reply. Zhou Zixuan also posted. 1. Very briefly, some things are better left understood. He added a smoking emoji. I swiped past and opened the WeChat chat with the cram school teacher. I typed, Mr. Wang, sorry, but for personal reasons I won't be coming back to repeat the year. I'll transfer the breach of contract fee tomorrow. A reply came quickly from the other side. Lin Mo, what happened? Didn't classmate Ruan Huixian say you were definitely coming? The plan has changed. That's a shame, but getting into Tsinghua is a big deal. Congratulations. The penalty for breach of contract is 30% according to the contract, which comes to 8,400. Okay. Just as I was about to leave the chat, the other party sent another message. By the way, classmate Ruan Huixian and classmate Zhou Zixuan also contacted me just now, saying they won't be coming either. Did you all discuss this beforehand? I stared at that sentence for a few seconds. No, I replied, each of us decides for ourselves. After turning off my phone, I walked out of the supermarket. The summer night on the old street was stifling, but fortunately, there was a breeze. Under the streetlights, moths fluttered wildly, and crickets chirped in the corners. I walked to the storefront of Ruan Huixian's family shop. A sliver of light leaked from beneath the rolling shutter, very dim. Faint voices came from inside. It was her mother coaxing her. Xian, have something to eat. You haven't eaten all day. No response. I stood there for a while, then turned and went home. The next day I went to the bank and transferred the penalty fee to the repeat course. The clerk, a young lady who knew me, smiled and said, Lin Mo, I heard you got into Tsinghua. That's amazing, thank you. What about that childhood sweetheart of yours? Isn't she retaking the college entrance exam with you? Her, I paused, she has other plans. After leaving the bank, I went to the school. Old Zhao really had someone put up a banner, red background with yellow lettering, hung in the most eye-catching spot on the teaching building. Warmly congratulate classmate Lin Mo on being admitted to Tsinghua University. The characters were huge, visible from far away. A few underclassmen were taking photos underneath it. When they saw me, they crowded around asking for autographs. I signed them, my handwriting crooked and messy. Lao Zhao called me into the office and shoved an envelope into my hands. The school bonus, 5,000, don't refuse it, that's the rule. I accepted it. 还有件事. Lao Zhao lowered his voice. Ruan Huixian came this morning to handle the repeat year enrollment shou alone. I nodded. Zhou Zixuan didn't come. Lao Zhao looked at me. I heard his family arranged for him to go abroad, to Australia for a foundation program. That was unexpected. Does Ruan Huixian know? I asked. Looks like she doesn't. Lao Zhao sighed. That girl, I advised her to think it over again, but she was very determined. She said she definitely wants to repeat the year and get into a school in Beijing. I said nothing. Lin Mo, Old Zhao patted my shoulder. Now that you're going to Tsinghua, study hard. As for the things from before, if you should let them go, then let them go. Got it. After leaving the school, I went to the apartment I had rented. I inserted the key into the lock and turned it. The door opened. The room still had that musty smell, empty and desolate, with only cardboard boxes and dust. The window in my little room still faced the wall next door, but today the sunlight was good. A slanted beam came in and cast a bright patch on the floor. I stood there for a long time, then I took out my phone and sent Ruan Huixian my last message. It was very long, written and deleted over and over, until in the end only one sentence remained. I renewed the lease on the house for 3 more months. You don't need to return my deposit. If you still want to repeat a year, you can stay. If you change your mind, you can leave anytime. Sent. Before she could reply, I exited the chat interface, found her name, and opened her profile page. My finger hovered over delete contact for 3 seconds, pressed it, confirm. A pop-up appears on the screen. Deletion successful. I put my phone away and close the door. I leave the key in the lock, not pulling it out. I go downstairs and out of the residential complex. The sunlight is just right, so bright it makes it hard to keep my eyes open. I narrow my eyes and walk toward the bus stop. In my pocket, the stiff paper of Tsinghua's admission letter gently brushed against the fabric of my trouser pocket with each step, swish, 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 as if applauding me. Chapter 5, Train tickets at the end of August are hard to buy. I stood in line at the ticket window for 2 hours before I finally got a hard sleeper berth, a green train, a slow one. It would take more than 20 hours of swaying to get to Beijing. My mom kept stuffing clothes into the suitcase as she chattered. I heard Beijing gets cold in winter. So I brought you a thick quilt, Mom. The school provides one, I said. The school's not as warm as home. She pressed the quilt down hard and zipped up the suitcase. And these pickles, your dad specially pickled them. Take 2 jars. When you're homesick, just have a bite. The suitcase bulged like a fat man, its wheels bent under the weight. The night before departure, my dad closed the supermarket and packed up early. The 3 of us sat in the living room for dinner. It was a simple meal of 3 dishes and 1 soup. But my mom made red braised pork, my favorite. The meat was a perfect mix of fat and lean, glistening with soy sauce. Call home often once you get to Beijing, my dad said, putting a piece of meat in my bowl. If you don't have enough money, just say so. Don't skimp. Got it. Just do your best in school. Don't push yourself too hard. My mom ladled me another bowl of soup. Your health comes first. I lowered my head and drank the soup. The steam fogged up my glasses. I took them off to wipe them, only to realize everything in front of me had gone blurry. That night I didn't sleep. Lying in the bed I'd slept in since childhood, I stared at the crack in the ceiling. When I was little, I was afraid of the dark and always felt like monsters would crawl out of that crack. After Huixian found out, she gave me a small nightlight, a plastic moon shape that glowed warm yellow when plugged in. The lamp was still on the bedside table, but its cord had already snapped. At 4 in the morning, I got up and tucked the lamp into the bottom drawer. When I closed it, the hinge gave a creak, as if sighing. The train station was packed shoulder to shoulder. It was the start of the new school year, and everywhere there were parents seeing their children off, mothers with red-rimmed eyes, fathers smoking in silence. My parents helped me carry my suitcase onto the train and find my berth. The hard sleeper carriage reeked of instant noodles mixed with sweat. This is it. My dad shoved the suitcase under the berth and straightened up, pounding his lower back. My mom started wiping away tears again. Be careful on the road, and keep your wallet safe. We're sending a message now. The whistle sounded. The conductor was calling for those seeing people off to get down. My dad pulled my mom along, saying, let's go, let the kid rest for a while. They got off the train and stood on the platform waving at me. The train window was a little dirty, so their faces were blurry. The train slowly started moving, and they grew smaller and smaller, until they finally turned into 2 black dots and disappeared into the morning fog. I lay down on the bunk and closed my eyes. The sound of the train wheels striking the rails was rhythmic, clunk, 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 like a heartbeat. My phone vibrated under the pillow. I pulled it out and looked. It was a message from my high school class monitor. Lin Mo, I heard you're going to Beijing today. Have a safe trip. Scrolling down, there were farewell messages from a few other classmates, none from Wan Huixian. I deleted her, but I could still see her updates in the posts of mutual friends. 3 days ago, she posted a photo, the classroom at the repeat studies prep class, empty desks and chairs, and on the blackboard it said, 285 days until the college entrance exam. The caption read, starting over. Zhou Zixuan's moment stopped updating. I heard from Lao Zhao that he really went to Australia, and left in such a hurry that he didn't even hold a farewell party. I exited WeChat and opened the photo album. The latest photo was a close-up of the Tsinghua admission letter. Further back was the graduation photo. The whole class was standing on the playground, wearing school uniforms and smiling stupidly. I was in the 3rd row on the left, and Wan Huixian was 2 people to my right. She tilted her head and flashed a peace sign, her ponytail swinging up. Further back was the high school sophomore sports meet. Wan Huixian fell during the 800-meter race and scraped her knee. I helped her to the infirmary. Leaning against my shoulder, she grimaced and said, Lin Mo. It hurts. My heart was racing back then, and I thought that was love. It turned out it was just habit. I stuffed my phone back under the pillow and turned over. The middle-aged man in the bunk opposite was snoring, the sound like a bellows being pumped. Sleep, I told myself. Tomorrow we'll be in Beijing. Tsinghua was much larger than I had imagined. On registration day, I got lost 3 times dragging my suitcase around campus. The plane trees were so tall they seemed to blot out the sky, and streams of bicycles flowed past like a river. Everywhere were fresh faces, accents from all over the country mingling together, and the air was full of restless youth. My roommates are from 3 provinces, northeastern bluntness, Sichuan wit, and Zhejiang subtlety. On the first night of our late-night talk session, they asked, Lin Mo, how did you get into Tsinghua? Good luck, I said. Come on, luck gets you into here. My northeastern roommate tossed me a bag of chips. Come on, tell us, is there some secret trick? I took the chips, tore them open, and crunched away. There really isn't any secret trick, just doing problems, taking exams, and then, having someone change my college preferences. What? All three of them sat up, I briefly explained. When I got to the part where Ruan Huisien changed her application choices, my Sichuan roommate cursed in dialect, "That son of a bitch. How could they be this outrageous?" And then, the Zhejiang roommate pressed, "You just let it go." Like that. I didn't, I said. I applied for the strong foundation program in advance, and I passed. The dorm room was quiet for a few seconds, then the roommate from Northeast China slapped his thigh. "Damn, that's what a real man is. No fuss, no yelling, just smacking them in the face with the admission letter." Everyone laughed. I laughed too, and as I laughed, something inside me finally loosened. So it turns out saying it out loud wasn't that hard after all. College life felt like it was. On fast forward, classes, self-study, clubs, experiments, time was sliced into little pieces, and every one of them was packed full. I joined the debate team, and at my first meeting I met Shenwei. She was a sophomore senior, with short hair and thin-framed glasses, speaking very quickly. "Lin Mo, right, I've looked over your materials, your logic is good. For this freshman cup, you'll be on my team, okay?" We partnered for our first match. The topic was, is it reasonable to sacrifice the interests of a few to save the many? I had prepared a ton of material, but when I got on stage, I was still nervous. During the free debate, the other side seized on a flaw in my argument and attacked relentlessly, and I froze up. Shenwei took over, speaking at a steady pace with clear logic, and in just a few sentences she turned the situation around. After the round, she said to me, "You're too hasty. Debating isn't arguing, it's dancing. You have to move with the rhythm." How do I do that? "Listen," she said, "listen to what the other side is saying, listen to what your teammates are saying, and listen to what your own heart is saying." I froze for a moment. The line sounded familiar, but I couldn't remember where I'd heard it. Debate team practice often went on until night. It ended at 10, and when a group of us came out of the teaching building, the autumn night in Beijing was already chilly. The plane tree leaves had begun to turn yellow, and under the streetlights they looked like a tree full of hanging gold coins. Shenwei was walking beside me, rubbing her hands together and blowing warm air into them. "Lin Mo, weren't you not much of a talker before?" Why, I just felt like no one would listen even if I said anything." I laughed as soon as I finished. "Pretty melodramatic, huh? Not pretentious," she said seriously. "I was like that in high school too. Later I figured it out. Whether someone listens or not is their business. Whether I speak or not is mine. I can't choke myself to death just because someone else might not listen." The wind blew over, and she shrank her neck. I took off my scarf and handed it to her. "Lend it to you, and you, I'm not cold." She took the scarf and wrapped it around her neck. "Off-white wool, knitted by my mom. The stitches a little uneven. Your mom's really skillful. She knitted it over 3 nights, I said. She was even worried it might not be useful in Beijing. "It will be." Shenwei buried her face in the scarf. "Winters in Beijing are really cold." We parted ways at the dormitory area. She lived in the Zijing apartments, and I lived in the South Campus. On the way back, I glanced at my phone. 10:20 p.m. At this hour, back home, it should already be quiet. The shops on the old street are closed, the streetlights are dim, and stray cats are rummaging through trash cans for food. If Ruan Huisien is still repeating her senior year, she should have just finished evening self-study and be walking back to her rented room alone. The window of that tiny room still faces someone else's wall. I shook my head and put the phone back in my pocket. Don't think about it anymore. At the end of October, the high school classmates group suddenly became lively. Someone posted a screenshot of Ruan Huisien's Weibo. It only had one sentence: "Some people leave without even being worthy of a goodbye." A classmate had me below. "Lin Mo, is she talking about you?" I didn't reply. A while later, another classmate messaged me privately. "Lin Mo, Ruan Huisien is having a really hard time repeating the year. I heard she's lost a lot of weight and doesn't talk much anymore. Do you want to reach out to her?" I looked at that message, typed a few words, then deleted them. In the end, I replied, "Forget it, you're really that heartless." "It's not being ruthless," I said, "it's just no longer necessary." After hitting send, I closed the chat window. On the computer screen, the article I was reading was open, packed with dense English words. I rubbed my eyes and kept reading. "Some hurdles have to be overcome on your own. No one else can help, and they shouldn't." At the beginning of November, Beijing had its first snowfall. It wasn't much, tiny flakes that melted as soon as they hit the ground. I took a few photos and posted them to my moments. My mom commented instantly, "Wear more clothes, don't catch a cold." My dad then commented, "Do you have enough money? Want me to send you some more?" I replied, "Enough, don't send any." Shenwei liked this post and commented, "The snow at Tsinghua is nowhere near as good as the one at the Forbidden City. I'll take you to see the real thing this weekend." That weekend, we really went to the Forbidden City. Red walls and white snow, with lots of people there. tourists all there to see the first snowfall. Shenwei carried her camera around taking pictures everywhere, and I followed behind her, my feet crunching in the snow. Lin Mo, what do you want to do in the future? She suddenly asked. I haven't figured it out yet, maybe go to graduate school, maybe get a job. I'm asking, what kind of person do you want to become? She turned around, snowflakes landing on her eyelashes. Not what you want to do, but who you want to be. I froze. No one had ever asked me that question. My parents asked me what university I wanted to get into. My teachers asked me what major I wanted to choose, and Wan Huixian asked me whether I wanted to repeat my senior year with her. But no one had ever asked, Lin Mo, what kind of person do you want to become? I don't know, I said honestly. I don't know either. Shenwei smiled, but I think we need to figure this out first before we know where to go. We walked around the Forbidden City for 3 hours, and by the time we came out, it was already dark, the snow had stopped, and the ground had turned into a muddy mess. While waiting for the bus, Shenwei said, Lin Mo, sometimes you look quite lonely. Do I? Yes, she looked at the neon lights across the street. It's like there's a room in my heart, with the door locked and the key thrown away. I said nothing. The bus came, and we squeezed onto it. The carriage was warm, and a layer of fog had formed on the windows. I drew a circle on it with my finger, looking through the circle at the flowing street scene outside. Beijing is really huge, so huge that it can hold everyone's past, and also dilute all pain. I didn't go home during winter break. I found a part-time tutoring job teaching high school seniors physics. The student was a boy, very smart, but he could never quite settle down. He asked me, Teacher, do you think I can get into Tsinghua University? Let's see how hard you work. What if I work hard and still can't get in? Then go to the place you can get into. I said, Tsinghua isn't the destination, it's just a station. Once you get on the train, you still have to keep going forward. The boy nodded, only half understanding. On New Year's Eve, my parents called me on video. They were in a supermarket, with shelves and red lanterns in the background. Xiaoma, have you eaten dumplings? I have. The school cafeteria had them. By yourself? Yeah. My roommates all went home. My mom's eyes turned red again. My dad pulled her aside, leaned toward the screen, and said, Don't listen to your mom, a boy should go out and see the world. Is New Year's in Beijing lively? Lively, I said. It's all lit up with lanterns and decorations everywhere. Actually, it wasn't lively at all. The school was more than half empty, and the dormitories were quiet. I ate a plate of dumplings in the cafeteria, chivan egg filling, not as tasty as the ones my mom made. After hanging up the video call, I checked my moments. My high school classmates were all posting reunion dinners, fireworks, and their families watching the Spring Festival Gala. Scrolling down, I saw a post from Wan Huixian, no photo, just 4 words, Happy New Year, located on Old Street. She went home. I lit a cigarette, a habit I picked up after coming to Beijing, though I don't smoke often. The smoke swirled in the dim dorm room and slowly dispersed. Outside the window, Beijing was brightly lit. From time to time, firecrackers went off in the distance, muffled, as if separated by a thick layer of cotton. Happy New Year, Wan Huixian, I said to myself. Near the end of the second semester of my freshman year, Lao Zhao suddenly contacted me. Lin Mo, the school is organizing a study trip for second-year high school students to Beijing, and they're going to visit Tsinghua. Could you be their guide? It's next week. Sure, that's great. By the way, Lao Zhao paused. Wan Huixian is coming too. My grip on the phone tightened. Shouldn't she be taking the college entrance exam? She hasn't had much success repeating the year. Lao Zhao's voice was very low. She asked to come on this study trip on her own. She said she wanted to see Tsinghua and give herself a boost. Oh, if you don't want to see her, I'll arrange for someone else. It's fine, I said, I'll do it. After hanging up, I sat in my dorm room in a daze for a while. Outside the window, the plane trees were already lush and green, and the cicadas had started singing. Time really flies. It's been a year. The day of the study trip arrived. I wore a Tsinghua t-shirt and stood waiting at the second gate. Buses drove in one after another, and juniors in school uniforms filed out in an endless stream, chattering away, their eyes darting everywhere. I saw Wan Huixian. She walked at the back of the group, much thinner, her school uniform hanging loosely on her. Her hair had been cut short, just to her ears, revealing her pale face. She had her head down and didn't see me. Lao Zhao came over and patted me on the shoulder. Thanks for your hard work. It's only right. I began the tour. From the second school gate to Tsinghua Garden, from the library to the teaching buildings, the younger students asked all sorts of questions, and I answered them all. Wan Huixian kept trailing at the back of the group, neither speaking nor asking anything. As I walked up to the front of the library, I stopped. This is Tsinghua Library, the largest among universities in Asia. Lin Mo, Wan Huixian suddenly spoke. Her voice was very soft, but in the quiet line it was clear. Everyone turned to look at her. She raised her head and looked at me. Her eyes were Still the same, with the outer corners slightly drooping. Always giving off a hint of innocence when she looked at people, but something was different, like a stone washed by water countless times, smooth, but cold. "Can I go in and have a look?" she asked. I looked at the librarian. After getting permission, I took them into the main hall. The high vaulted ceiling, rows upon rows of bookshelves, seniors quietly reading. The underclassmen gasped in hushed voices, but Ruan Huisien merely walked slowly, her fingers tracing the edge of the shelves. When she reached a spot by the window, she stopped. From there, she could see the lawn and the plane trees outside. "Do you often sit here?" she asked. The view is really nice," she said. "Better than the window in the repeat class." I said nothing. She turned around to face me. Sunlight slanted in through the window, lighting up one side of her face while the other half was hidden in shadow. "Lin Mo, Zhou Zixuan got married." I froze. "What?" "In Australia, with a local girl. His parents posted it on Moments, and I saw it." She smiled faintly. "Pretty fast, right? Only a year." I didn't know what to say. "I didn't get into Tsinghua," she went on. "I only scored 580 on the mock exam. This year, even a top-tier university might be out of reach. There's still time." "No," she shook her head. "Time has always seemed not to be enough for me. Not enough to study, not enough to grow up, and not enough to see a person clearly." She looked at me, her eyes glistening with tears, but they didn't fall. "Lin Mo, I'm sorry. I had waited 12 years for those 3 words, yet when I finally heard them, I felt nothing much in my heart. It was like a pebble thrown into a deep pool, thud, sinking down, and not even a splash to be seen. "It's all in the past," I said. "It's in the past." She took a deep breath. "But I have to say it, not to make you forgive me, but for myself. I have to admit I was wrong. I was too selfish, too arrogant, and I took your kindness for granted." The group started walking out. Lao Zhao waved from the doorway. Ruan Huisien took one last look at the library, then turned around. After taking 2 steps, she looked back. "Lin Mo, can you hug me, just once, like when we were kids?" I stood there, motionless. She waited for a moment, then smiled. There was relief in that smile, and also bitterness. "Forget it, this is better." She quickly caught up with the group, her slight figure blending into a crowd of blue and white school uniforms, until she could no longer be distinguished. I stood where I was, watching them leave the library, walk out through the second school gate, and board the bus. As it pulled away, some of the younger students waved at me from the window. Ruan Huisien sat in the last row, turned slightly to one side, looking out the window. The car turned a corner and disappeared. My phone vibrated. Shenwei sent a message. "The debate team celebration is tonight. Are you coming?" "We won," I replied. "I'm coming." As I walked out of the library, the sunlight was blinding. I squinted and saw Shenwei waiting for me in the distance. She was wearing a red dress, standing out vividly against the green trees and blue sky. "What are you spacing out about?" She ran over. "Come on, they're all there." "Good." We walked side by side toward the school gate. The plane tree leaves rustled overhead, and bicycle bells rang ding-a-ling. Tsinghua Garden was always this lively, this full of life. "Was that your high school classmate just now?" Shenwei asked. The girl with the short hair." She looked at you differently." I smiled. "It's all in the past, really in the past, really in the past." She didn't ask any more. We walked to the school gate, and she suddenly said, "Lin Mo, do you know, you smile more than when you first came, is there?" "Yes," she said seriously. "When you first came, you always frowned, as if something was weighing on your mind. It's better now, your brow is no longer so tense." I touched the center of my own forehead. It really did seem that way. The dinner was at a small restaurant off campus. Everyone from the debate team had arrived, noisy and boisterous, all vying to order dishes. I sat in the corner, listening to them talk about funny things that happened during the competition, occasionally joining in with a few remarks. Outside the window, Beijing's lights were just coming on. The traffic flowed like a golden river from the heart of the city to all directions. My phone buzzed again. It was my mom. "Xiao Mo, have you eaten?" I took a photo of the dinner gathering and sent it to her. She replied, "Eat more, don't drink." I smiled and put my phone back in my pocket. The dishes were brought out, steaming hot. Shenwei picked up a piece of fish for me. "Try it, this is the restaurant's specialty." I took a bite. It was a little spicy, but very fragrant. Everyone raised their glasses, and the captain shouted. To celebrate winning the Freshman Cup championship, the cups clinked together with a crisp sound. I tilted my head back and took a sip. The chilled sour plum drink was perfectly balanced between sweet and tart, cooling all the way down to my stomach, comfortable. Outside the window, the night grew darker and darker, but the city lights tinted the sky a deep red. There were no stars, only countless lights, countless windows, countless people living in this vast city, loving, hurting, and growing. I picked up my chopsticks and I ate another piece of fish. Delicious, really delicious.